James Corden built an entire career on being grateful. The chubby British comedian who couldn't believe his luck. The guy who teared up on his first night hosting The Late Late Show, voice cracking as he promised.
It really isn't lost on me what a privilege it is to be given a show like this, and I will really do my best not to let any of you down. Truly.
That performance earned him millions of fans, made him Hollywood's favorite host, got him carpool karaoke with Adele, Grammy hosting gigs, and a spot at every celebrity dinner table in Los Angeles. But here's what those fans didn't see. The restaurant staff he screamed at until they cried, the crew members whose names he never learned, the co-stars who watched him throw tantrums between takes while everyone else stood there, trapped in awkward silence. Because off camera, James Corden wasn't grateful. He was cruel, an egotist who let fame rot his brain so thoroughly that when a waiter made a mistake with his wife's omelet, he exploded.
You can see my belly, and we can all see you dying right now. Let's go for it. Here we go.
Mocking a legendary actor on live television at an event meant to celebrate women. That mask he wore so well, it didn't just slip. It shattered. In restaurants, on Reddit, in viral videos that exposed his fake driving segments. Until finally, the hate got so nuclear that CBS had to do something unprecedented. They didn't just replace him. They killed the show entirely. No replacement host, no reboot, just done. Because James Corden's cruelty became so expensive, so exhausting, so undeniable, that ending a decades-old institution was easier than trying to save what he'd poisoned. This is the story of how a man weaponized likability to hide who he really was, until the people he stepped on started talking, and how his downfall didn't just destroy his career, it took an entire late-night empire down with him. Corden wasn't some industry plant that CBS pulled out of thin air. He clawed his way up through British entertainment the hard way, bouncing between forgettable roles in shows nobody remembers, musical theater productions, a sports drama that went nowhere, even a stint on a soap opera called Hollyoaks, where he was just another face in the crowd. Then came Fat Friends in 2001, a recurring role as Jamie Reimer. Nothing groundbreaking, but it got him on TV regularly, gave him visibility. More importantly, it introduced him to Ruth Jones, his co-star, who'd later become his creative partner. Together, they created Gavin and Stacey in 2007. Corden played Smithy, the loud, endearing best friend who stole scenes with his working-class charm and quick wit. The show exploded. Not just popular, it became a cultural event in Wales. Over half the Welsh population tuned in for the Christmas finale. For a country that had spent decades being underrepresented in British media, this felt personal. This felt like theirs. Corden rode that wave straight to a BAFTA in 2008 for Best Comedy Performance. Suddenly, he was hosting the Brit Awards, appearing on panel shows, co-hosting Comic Relief. He'd become a legitimate celebrity in Britain, and the public adored him for that grateful, gentle persona he'd perfected. But the rot had already started. Behind the cameras, his behavior was changing. Success does strange things to people, and Corden wasn't immune. He'd later admit in a 2015 interview,
"A really mind-altering time, that first flash of fame, and you start to perhaps think you're a bit more of a dude than you really are."
His Gavin and Stacey co-star Rob Brydon noticed, pulled him aside. Even his own sister had to step in.
"Look, this is a bit awkward to say, but I'm just hearing these things about you, and you've got to know that the way you behave has an effect on people. James, don't be a dick."
Think about that, your family and co-workers staging informal interventions while you're still on your way up. That's not normal celebrity ego adjustment. That's a warning sign everyone saw coming, except the one person who needed to see it most. By the time Corden realized what he'd become, the damage was already metastasizing. And worse, he was about to hit the limits of his talent right as his ego convinced him he had none. In 2009, Corden decided to create his own sketch show with Gavin and Stacey co-star Matthew Horn. Horn and Corden. Simple title. Should have been a slam dunk. Two stars from one of Britain's biggest sitcoms doing comedy sketches together. It bombed so catastrophically that The Telegraph called it about as funny as credit default swaps. One season, canceled, done. Then came Lesbian Vampire Killers, a movie so aggressively bad it managed a 28% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 5.1 on IMDb. Critics didn't just dislike it, they specifically called out Corden's performance as unbearable. But box office failures happen. Young actors stumble. The public might have forgiven him if he'd just stayed humble, kept his head down, learned from the mistakes. Instead, he went to the 2010 Glamour Woman of the Year Awards and showed everyone exactly who he'd become. The event was meant to celebrate women in entertainment. Patrick Stewart, yes, Charles Xavier himself, was presenting. And he noticed something that apparently nobody else had the guts to say out loud. He stopped mid-presentation and called Corden out directly.
I want to speak to James here. It's James, isn't it? When the presenters are up here and when the recipients are receiving their awards, don't stand at the back of the stage with your hands in your pockets, looking around as though you wished you were anywhere but here.
Perfect opportunity. Take the criticism gracefully, show some humility, salvage the situation. But Corden's ego was already too inflated for that. He fired back.
Oh, you couldn't be more wrong, sir. You couldn't be more wrong. Genuinely. And if it looked like that, I'm so sorry. But when you come up and present an award, just get on with it. There we go.
The tension in the room became unbearable. Stewart took a jab at Corden's weight. Corden exploded.
Sorry, I'm waiting for the punchline. Go on. No, seriously, go on.
Okay.
No, go on. You can see my belly, and we can all see you dying right now. Let's go for it. Here we go.
Then came the most damaging part. Zoe Saldana had just won Best Actress for Avatar. Her moment, her night. She tried to diffuse the situation with humor.
For whatever it's worth, I like your belly, so.
But Corden and Stewart kept arguing in the background, completely overshadowing her achievement. Some people still defend Stewart for going public instead of handling it backstage. Maybe. But what's indefensible is how Corden responded, lashing out at a respected actor, mocking him on stage, then ruining another person's award moment because his ego couldn't handle criticism. The lovable Smithy persona cracked that night. The UK audience saw something unappealing underneath, uncharismatic, mean, and yet somehow, impossibly, the opportunities kept coming. He landed the hosting gig for A League of Their Own, a sports comedy talk show with major UK stars. Got cast in One Man, Two Governors, a musical theater production that eventually made its way to Broadway and earned him a Tony Award in 2012. His path in British entertainment looked clear, stable, successful. Then, in 2014, everything changed. Craig Ferguson announced he was leaving The Late Late Show on CBS. And somehow, against all logic, James Corden got the call to replace him. America had no idea what was coming. When CBS announced James Corden as Craig Ferguson's replacement, the reaction wasn't excitement. It was confusion. Most Americans had never heard of him. The few who had weren't exactly rushing to his defense. And Ferguson wasn't just any late-night host. For a decade, he'd carved out something unique, ditching the scripted questions and rehearsed celebrity anecdotes for genuine, unfiltered conversations that made audiences feel like they were eavesdropping on real people. The show had a soul. Corden showed up for his first episode playing the humble card hard.
It really isn't lost on me what a privilege it is to be given a show like this, and I will really do my best not to let any of you down, truly.
But inside, he already knew something CBS executives hadn't figured out yet. TV ratings didn't matter anymore. Viral clips did. The next morning's Twitter feed mattered. YouTube views mattered. He didn't need to be the best late-night host. He just needed to create moments that people would share. So instead of long monologues for the live studio audience, Corden and his team engineered segments specifically designed to go viral, and one of them, Carpool Karaoke, became a phenomenon. The concept was deceptively simple. Drive around Los Angeles with celebrities, sing their songs, have deep conversations in between. It made Corden look fun, chill, relatable, the kind of guy who could hang with anyone. And it made the celebrities seem more human. Adele going from belting her own hits to flawlessly rapping Nicki Minaj's verse on Monster. Justin Bieber admitting he wears Calvin Klein underwear once, then throws it out.
I definitely don't wear them twice.
No.
There's so many.
Are you serious? You wear a pair of underpants once and then you throw it out?
Yeah.
That's the life. I had to turn mine inside out and wear them again.
The segments racked up millions of views. Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts followed the same formula. Answer invasive personal questions or eat disgusting food. Force celebrities into uncomfortable positions and let the internet eat it up. By 2017, The Late Late Show was pulling over 10 million views on YouTube. CBS looked like visionaries for betting on this unknown British comedian. Corden wasn't just successful, he was becoming one of the most recognizable faces in American entertainment. The hosting gigs started flooding in. Tony Awards in 2016, the Grammys in 2017 and 2018. He'd become Hollywood's default choice. The safe, non-threatening, harmless guy who could anchor any major event without controversy. Except he wasn't harmless. He was a ticking time bomb, and the bigger his platform grew, the harder it became to hide what he really was. But here's the thing about viral success built on manufactured moments. It only works if people believe it's real. The second the authenticity cracks, the entire illusion collapses, and Corden was about to learn that lesson in the most public, humiliating way possible. The downfall started small, almost dismissible, but each crack would spread until the entire foundation shattered. It started with something almost forgettable, a Spill Your Guts segment with Jimmy Kimmel. Kimmel's turn to ask Corden a question, and it should have been easy. Corden laughed, stalled, kept laughing. Then came the excuse nobody bought.
Name 2 of the cameramen in this room.
It's a different crew tonight, actually.
The live audience ate it up, but online, people weren't laughing with him. They were laughing at him. The comments piled up. The fact that James Corden couldn't name 2 of his camera operators speaks volumes about him. Another, what an absolute power move by the segment producer to approve that question. Imagine having your own crew work against you behind the scenes and expose you as a terrible person. His own staff had weaponized his show against him. That's not normal workplace dysfunction. That's what happens when you're so terrible to the people around you that they'll sabotage you on live television just to watch you squirm. Then came October 2017. Harvey Weinstein allegations were dominating headlines. Women were finally being heard about decades of abuse, and Corden, hosting the AMFAR Gala, decided this was the perfect moment for a joke.
Here in LA, it's so beautiful. Harvey Weinstein has already asked tonight up to his hotel to give him a massage.
The room went cold. Not because the joke was edgy, because it was cruel, tone deaf. The kind of thing someone says when they've spent so long insulated from consequences that they forget other people have to live with them. The gap between Corden's public persona and his real behavior was widening into a canyon. And then came the Reddit AMA in 2018. One of the most catastrophic celebrity Q&A sessions in internet history. The comments didn't just criticize him, they gutted him with personal stories. The thread filled with similar stories, insults disguised as questions.
Hey James, you won't remember me, but me and my friends sat at a table next to you and Harry Styles, plus some others in Manchurian Legends in London's Chinatown about 6 years ago. We didn't bother you, but you were a massively entitled who yelled and treated the waitstaff like shit. And when one of my party politely suggested you calm down, you got really aggressive and threatening. So my question is this, why did Harry seem so cool while you were a massive throbbing ballad? Massive in person. I saw a League of Their Own filming live, threw multiple tantrums over minor things at the production staff, with him being incredibly rude to them, which made the other regulars seem very awkward like it was usual. Between each take, the other celebs would be chatting amongst themselves, bantering about. James was glued to his phone. At the end of filming, people got up to get a picture with James, and he massively kicked off shouting at people to go away and to go back to their seats. And the few he did let have pictures with, he was moody as. Seeing him like that made me realize everything you see of his on TV is a complete persona. Are you, James, such a deeply unpleasant person? Did your parents raise you that way? And ever thought about coming back to the UK? And if so, what can we do to stop you?
Corden answered 5 questions. Then he walked away and closed the thread. The internet had turned, and once that happens, there's no coming back. Every new project became a target. Every public appearance got scrutinized. Every old story resurfaced with new context. The viral moments that built his career were about to become the viral moments that destroyed it. Because when your entire brand is built on being likable and people discover you're actually despicable, they don't just stop watching. They want revenge. When your reputation dies, so does every opportunity attached to it. And Corden's next few projects proved that Hollywood hadn't just stopped believing in him, they'd started actively avoiding him. In 2019, Cats hit theaters. Corden played Bustopher Jones, a role that required him to prance around in a CGI catsuit, singing about how fat and fabulous he was. The movie didn't just fail, it became a cultural punchline. A 2.8 on IMDb, 19% on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics specifically singled out Corden's performance as unbearable. Even Ricky Gervais couldn't resist twisting the knife at the 2020 Golden Globes.
The world got to see James Corden as a fat pussy. He was also in the movie Cats, but no one saw that.
Here's where it gets worse. When asked about the film on his own show, Corden had a chance to defend the cast and crew who'd worked on it, show some loyalty, some grace. Instead, he shrugged it off.
I don't know, I haven't seen it, so I've not watched the film.
He wouldn't even watch his own movie, wouldn't stand behind the people who'd worked alongside him, just threw it under the bus and moved on like it never happened. The industry noticed. By November 2021, a petition started circulating. Keep James Corden out of the production of Wicked the movie. It gathered over 100,000 signatures. People weren't just uninterested in seeing him perform, they were actively organizing to prevent it. Then came the Friends reunion in 2021. Corden was chosen to host. The backlash was immediate. He had no connection to the show, no history with the cast, no reason to be there except that someone at HBO thought he was still a safe bet. The fans disagreed loudly, but nothing, absolutely nothing, compared to what happened in October 2022 at Balthazar, a popular New York restaurant. According to owner Keith McNally's Instagram post, Corden found a hair in his food and lost his mind. Demanded the manager bring him and his party another round of drinks, make everything they'd ordered so far on the house. Otherwise, he'd leave a negative Yelp review. Later in the meal, the staff made a mistake with his wife's omelet. Corden exploded, yelled at the waiter, told them they couldn't do their job, said maybe he should go into the kitchen and cook the omelet himself. McNally banned him, publicly, on Instagram. The post went viral immediately. Corden rushed to apologize.
As her meal came wrong to the table the third time, in the heat of the moment, I made a sarcastic, rude comment, right, about cooking it myself, and it is a comment I deeply regret.
He got himself unbanned. Crisis averted, right? Wrong, because later, Corden went on television and said something that revealed he'd learned absolutely nothing. He claimed he didn't do anything wrong on any level, no responsibility, no real remorse, just damage control followed by doubling down once the heat died. The Balthazar incident became a turning point. More stories resurfaced. More former staff members spoke out. The pattern was undeniable. James Corden treated anyone who couldn't advance his career like they were beneath him. Servers, crew members, production assistants, anyone without power was fair game for his tantrums. And now, the hate wasn't just online anymore. It was hitting where it hurt most. His wallet. By 2023, The Late Late Show's viewership was in freefall. The viral moments that built Corden's empire were starting to work against him. And then came the final blow, the moment that exposed everything as fake. A video started circulating on Twitter, carpool karaoke with Justin Bieber, except someone had filmed from the street and you could see it clearly. Corden's car was being pulled by a trailer. He wasn't driving. The entire segment, the whole premise of casual, spontaneous conversations while navigating LA traffic, was staged. Corden tried to laugh it off.
I swear to you, 95% of the time, I really am endangering the lives of the world's biggest pop stars. Now look, I'm gonna be completely transparent with you right now. Here is a list of every carpool karaoke where I've used a tow, and this is a list of every one where I was driving the car, okay?
But it didn't matter. The authenticity was gone. The segment that defined his success was revealed as just another manufactured moment. And when your entire brand is built on seeming genuine, being exposed as fake is a death sentence. The numbers told the story. Weekly viewership dropped from 915,000 to 671,000. Hemorrhaging viewers. Hemorrhaging ad revenue. CBS was losing millions. Most people assumed they'd just replace him, find a new host, rebrand. The Late Late Show had survived for decades. Surely it could survive Corden. But here's what nobody saw coming. The damage was too deep. Corden hadn't just ruined his own reputation. He'd poisoned the entire show. Every viral clip, every celebrity interview, every segment now carried the stench of his behavior. The show wasn't just associated with him, it was contaminated by him. On April 28, 2023, exactly 8 years after he became host, Corden announced he was stepping down. He claimed it was to spend more time with his family in the UK.
When Max, who's my eldest son, when he finishes 6th grade, that is a real moment for us where we knew and we always felt, and I've always said, that to move 14, 15, 16-year-olds around, you know, even if we went coast to coast or internationally, felt unfair.
Nobody believed it. The truth was obvious. His career in America was dead, and CBS knew it. But here's the part that cements his legacy. CBS didn't just let him go. They canceled The Late Late Show entirely. No replacement host, no reboot, no continuation. A show that had been on the air since 1995, that had survived Tom Snyder, Craig Kilborn, and Craig Ferguson, couldn't survive James Corden. Not because he wasn't talented enough, but because his cruelty, his entitlement, his complete lack of respect for the people around him made continuing the show impossible. He didn't just destroy his career, he destroyed an institution. And CBS decided that ending a 28-year-old late-night program was easier than trying to rehabilitate what James Corden had turned it into. That's the grand payoff. That's what happens when you spend years treating people like garbage while hiding behind a manufactured persona. Eventually, the mask breaks. And when it does, you don't just fall alone. You take everything down with you. James Corden went back to the UK, back to theater, back to playing Smithy in the 2024 Gavin and Stacey Christmas special, reprising the role that started everything, the lovable working-class best friend who audiences fell in love with nearly 2 decades ago. He's pretending none of it happened, acting like the American chapter was just a successful run that naturally came to an end, like he wasn't chased out of an entire country because his cruelty became too expensive to ignore. The comparisons to Ellen DeGeneres write themselves. Both rose to the top through comedic talent. Both built empires on being kind, humble, grateful. Both got exposed as entitled bullies who treated staff like disposable props. Both had carefully constructed personas that crumbled the moment people started talking. But Corden had an advantage Ellen didn't. His theater training made him a better actor. He could sell the gratitude, the humility, the "I can't believe this is happening to me" routine with more conviction, which made the betrayal cut deeper when the mask finally came off. Now he's back where he started, doing what he's actually good at. Musical theater, where the performance is the point and nobody expects authenticity. Where he can hide behind characters instead of pretending to be himself. But the internet doesn't forget. The restaurant servers he screamed at don't forget. The crew members whose names he never learned don't forget. The Reddit threads documenting his tantrums don't disappear just because he fled to another country. He destroyed a late-night institution that survived for 28 years, not through lack of talent or bad ratings alone, but through sheer toxicity, making the show so contaminated with his reputation that CBS chose extinction over continuation. That's his legacy now, not carpool karaoke, not the viral moments, not the BAFTA or the Tony Award. The guy who was so horrible to work with that ending an iconic show was easier than finding someone willing to clean up his mess.